Assalamu alaikum, peace, power to the people. This is the Underlock and Key Show. My name is Malik Alain, Noble Young Lords Party. All right, so the first article is from a comrade in Pennsylvania, and the name of this article says, "Stand up for real causes." All right. He says, "I agree 100% with what the soldier said about SCI Huntington in the May-June issue of Underlock Key. The population in this prison does not stand up for shit except count time. I've been trying to get these motherfuckers in here to boycott for the longest, but these dudes only worry about BET, sports, 50 cent ice cream tickets, and who's sucking whose dick. As far as boycotting the kitchen, I understand dudes don't want to lose their jobs, but if the kitchen shuts down, we shut the prison down. The prisoners do not realize how much power we actually have here. But one or two people can't stand alone. We, the population as a whole, will have to stand together, even if something as simple as not going to the store for 2 weeks straight, or nobody goes to eat for 1 or 2 days. That's enough to get the administration attention that we are not satisfied with the administration operation. Shit, the female prisoners have more balls than the males do. Facts. Muncie and Cambridge Springs shut down as soon as something goes down that they don't agree on, but we males what? Yes, I'm talking to the gangsters, the killers, and so-called big-time drug dealers across the state of Pennsylvania, because it's not only here at Huntington, it's the entire male population of Pennsylvania. Stand up for yours. I'm not talking about a riot or cross burning or any kind of assaultive behavior. Just simply don't go to the child line for a day or two. Don't turn in that slip for the store for 2 weeks. Or don't pay that $16.50 they are charging for cable every month. Better yet, stop talking to the pigs as if they are your homies or OGs. That shit makes me sick every time. I see one of these pussies hee-hawing with the same pig that's slammed them in the restrictive housing unit and fucked up their parole. Wake up and realize you are people, cuz. Blood, Land King, Gangster Disciple, Muslims, Christians, forget colors and religion. Stand up as human beings. These redneck hillbilly pigs don't even see us as humans. They see us as dollar signs. So since that is how they see us, why not hit them where it hurts, their pocketbooks? Not hit them where it hurts, as physically, but hit their pocketbooks. Fuck that kitchen, fuck that CI shop, fuck that store, and fuck that cable system. We pay $200 for a tool, then pay an additional $16.50 a month just to watch it. What kind of shit is that? We need to stop spending our dough and make them waste theirs. They do it to us, it's their turn. Stand up, wake up. That's peace. Alright, so this next article right here is from a comrade in North Carolina. It says, "Let's clean up our house." The North Carolina Department of Corrections is targeting the same exact groups that the California Department of Corrections is targeting. The Muslims, the 5%ers, the Disciples, the Crips, the Bloods, the Moors, the Mexicans, and all other non-Americans. What gets me though is that everyone knows this, yet do not take the initiative to give their nations, parentheses, organizations, a more decent look. I do not feel any sympathy for a group of people whose soulful intentions are to destroy humanity. Most of these gangs, groups, religions, etc., have more negative energy within them than they do positive. Why can't someone start up a food drive or something for Haiti using the Crip Nation name, Colors Rising in Power, or the Blood Nation? We are gangsters. We as gangsters are not making sure that first, our house is clean. Secondly, we are protected. And lastly, that what we represent is receiving a positive acknowledgement from this country. Every time you turn on the television, a member has managed to put yet another negative look on the nation. That's true indeed. Stanley Tookie Williams was killed by the government, not because of the things he did, but rather the things that other Crip members did. And they're still doing. Basically, homies got the G killed. Wow, that's deep. Because if I'm not mistaken, they even say something like that about King Blood, Lord Gino, that every time a Land King commits a crime, that, you know what I mean, they hit them at the border, something like that. You know, so they were like, if Land Kings do good, you Now I mean, start doing positive and productive, they'll reduce their sentences. But if not, they're not gonna reduce their sentences. So yeah, I can see that. All right. Now, I understand that things can't be controlled after a certain action has taken place. However, we can determine what and when things happen. Gangsters are leaving graffiti, bandanas, all over source of clues for the government to make their cases with. True indeed. We are supposed to be secretive yet visible. True indeed. Inside the prison system, gang members are showing off tattoos, signs, and scars. But you can't help it if you got a tattoo. You know what I mean? They are admitting to being affiliated and also are telling staff who else is part of these nations. Yeah, that's that bullshit. There is not one secret kept within these nations anymore. That's true, and that's fucked up. It's all just a fun game now. These so-called big homies, the OGs, the four-star generals, and lieutenants aren't pursuing a positive outcome for change. They just love controlling other people. While the gangsters in California may be seeking relief from the oppression, the so-called gangsters in North Carolina have grown content with such oppression. Is there any group fighting for the validated members locked up around here? These dudes will hurt each other before they think about helping one another. And that's fucked up. That shit is so sad. About a year ago, an indigenous prisoner was murdered by a so-called Crip. Guess how many Crips got charged? 8. Wow. These niggas started snitching on each other. I stay as far away as I can from the bull jive. It's just so sad to see so many brothers lost. They believe this gang thing is blood versus Crip. I tell them it's not. It is blood and Crip. We are one nation together. Divided, we aren't anything. Now the Myers International Ministry responds. One of the contradictory aspects of the popular language is the use of the term nation to refer to a collection of sets. This comrade wants to unite blacks as one nation, but goes on to refer to various nations amongst the lumpen, many with black members. The lumpen organization took on this language following the righteous revolutionary nationalist movements of the late 1960s and early 1970s. True indeed. In this period, organizations represented black, Mexican, Puerto Rican, Chinese, and First Nations, and they all worked with each other as allies. True indeed. Their power came from their correct understanding of national oppression. Today, these groups going around calling themselves nations, fighting each other, are often part of the same nation, and almost all of them are from the oppressed. When they start recognizing the oppressor as their enemy, then we'll see the kind of power our predecessors had. True indeed. This comrade also mentions trying to receive positive recognition within his country. Within one's nation among the oppressed nations, that is a righteous goal. But America is never going to recognize the oppressed nation youth organization as positive as long as they represent their interests as oppressed people. The Almighty Land King Cree Nation has struggled with this exact problem. Even the Black Panthers, who didn't have the same internal contradictions that the Almighty Land King Cree Nation has, faced general condemnation from America, though they certainly found allies among a minority. We wouldn't go so far as to say that the state killed Tookie because of what other Crips were doing. We do agree that they used the anti-people activities of groups like the Crips to justify killing Tookie, not to mention to justify locking up 1 million other black men across the United States. Dan says, of course, the United States. But Tookie was killed because he represented true rehabilitation from a misled gangster youth to a righteous black nationalist. When Tookie was killed in 2005, damn it, that long ago? Wow. Myers International Ministry notes wrote, the Crips developed within a certain social and historical context. Tookie took part in leading the formation of the Crips after living his life in a certain context, just like the conditions of his life led him to repent and take on a new purpose in life. The unscientific idea that bad people are just bad cannot explain why Tookie engaged in anti-people activities as a youth, but then turned around to be a positive member of the community later on. In upholding this mantra, avoiding scientific explanation, the state ultimately decided that Tookie was just faking his redemption. This was a ridiculous lie. Tookie should be upheld as an example for the criminalized youth of today. That's peace. See, that's the bullshit. Whenever someone is trying to start to stay on the righteous path or trying to go through growth and development, the first thing these oppressors say, or even our own people that support the oppressors or even act like the oppressors, be like, oh, they faking it. That's the bullshit. All right, let me see another article. All right, this article is by Comrade California. It says, United we stand. CEOs split B's and C's. The Department of Corrections, under the guise of safety and security, is slowly but surely succeeding in their divide and conquer strategy. They have already been successful at convincing individuals to snitching by offering those who choose to take that role a safe haven, while at the same time they're inciting conflicts in general population. Here recently, the captain of D Yard told a Crip inmate that a blood inmate informed on him. Instead of them seeing this for what it was, these two guys ran around the yard telling anybody who would listen that the person was a snitch. The result was that the blood stabbed the Crip in the law library. This resulted in the whole black population being placed on lockdown for 60 days. The excuse for the lockdown was that they had to investigate the situation. See that bullshit? That's called agent provocateurs. That's called instigators. Know what I mean? You gotta be a point on the instigators and agent provocateurs. They work for the system. They released a program status report the day after the incident and passed out copies to everyone. They wanted everyone to know it was a blood and Crip that was involved. Under any other circumstance, it takes the pigs 30 days to release a program status report. At the same time, the pigs were walking around like school kids making comments intended to incite the blood and Crip conflict. Yup, that's what be happening. They do the same shit in New York. Normally, when something like this occurs, they only lock down the groups involved. But this time, they locked down all blacks, which was strange because this was a one-on-one issue that was provoked by the pigs. But this is the norm here in Kern Valley. This is a maximum security prison, guys. Around here, claim to be militant revolutionaries, hardcore gangsters, and solid convicts. But all I see is a bunch of fools looking for some type of recognition and popularity. Until we all wake up and realize that we have to unite in order to overcome the oppressors, then we must accept what we get. United we stand, divided we fall. Together we stand tall. Until that happens, the pigs will continue to divide and conquer. And that's facts. Alright. It is 7:47. Alright, I'm gonna pull out, let me see. Instead of going to another article, I'll go through the 3 poems. It's called Revolutionary Culture. These materials are revolutionary copyrighted. The copying, using, republishing of such material for anything other than the anti-imperialist, anti-capitalist movement is a crime punishable by the people. Alright. So this poem right here is called Revolutionary Transition by Eddie Hell, If in a Cell. This is a revolutionary transition. You think you're losing something when you start listening. Don't get scared, stand strong, stop tripping. Slow down, this is what you're missing. Huey spoke of revolutionary suicide, not about dying, shallow minds, blind is about living, creeps in blue suits and ties, despise every rise, rise. Like the phoenix from the ashes, clashing with fascists to free the masses, smashing the lies, resuscitating the dying so we can get our swag on, carry on the legacy. Mayo, Fannin, Atlanta, Fulham, capitalism, imperialism, neo-colonialism, dism. Time out from the bullshit to find out what's real. Communism, Maoism. Don't be disinterested. This is in your best interest. Educating the people to think for themselves. Organizing in practice. The present is more felt. Solutions that meet needs. Not talking that same game. Independent institutions. Not talking about making it rain, you stupid motherfuckers. That money could fight a people's war. Feed the poor, you selfish clique of motherfuckers. How could you dare want more lying, killing, and suffering, which came from the government? They gave you crack and pills, and you call them legitimate? This is for those that need correction, from seniors to adolescents. Consciousness is a weapon. Communism is what we reppin'. Police ain't no protection. Crimes against the people. Whose past are y'all reflecting? I understand you black. All you understand is some capping. If much love is your cliche, why genocide you display? I understand you've been misled with bullshit by the preacher behind the pulpit. Regardless of what he say, communism is the way. And my heroes are fighting the system every day. Peace. It's 7:50. All right, let me see another poem. Reality. This is by Venom. This is reality. Prison beatings leading to gang meetings. This is reality. To real convicts are the ones with nightsticks. This is really, it's the whites violating our prisoner rights. This is reality. Time after time, their heads are turned on black crime. This is reality. They're educated less than us, and remorse. Always remember, freedom is a must. This is reality. Money earns trust, and going against the oppressor earns more heads getting buzzed. This is the reality they don't want the ones against oppression to see. This reality has to set free. This is reality in the eyes of me. That's peace. Alright, this poem right here. Alright, now I'm not doing this. Alright, that was two poems right there. Let's see if I find another article. Alright, this one right here is called Educate to Liberate. Spread the Underlock and Key. This is by the First Crown of Borough. I don't know what borough is, but it's the First Crown of Borough. As revolutionaries who are conscious and active in the national liberation struggles of oppressed nations, anti-imperialist movement in general, and the United States in particular, there is a need to understand the motive forces controlling our lives and how these relate to oppression. As materialists, we believe that knowledge is key to understanding. We believe that knowledge is key to understanding these forces. The masses read bourgeoisie newspapers and media and take up the political line of the imperialists without really consciously knowing. I'm speaking here of the politically unconscious. For example, remember the 9/11 aftermath? There were many oppressed nation prisoners saying, we need to bomb these terrorists and kill them all. Them dudes are crazy. Lenin, Stalin, Mao Zedong, and Huey all taught us that we need to develop independent media institutions of the oppressed to build public opinion for revolution. It is with this thought in mind that I am proposing that all members and associates of the United Struggle from Within work to increase the subscription and readership of our independent media outlet, which is the Underlock and Key. How do I suggest we do this? By number one, getting prisoners in your unit or prison to write in and request to be on the Underlock Key mailing list. Number two, make copies if possible and circulate them. Number three, having friends, family members, other groups, etc. send money in for subscriptions and check out Myra's International Ministry website. My personal goal is to get 50 prisoners to write in and request a subscription over the next 6 months. Most prisoners are poor and will readily write in for any type of reading material that they can get free, and that's true indeed. Our duty is to appeal to that particular material interest as a way to spread the word and share knowledge. I believe that the more people become exposed to new ideas, programs, etc., the better chance we have of bringing them into the movement. After all, a lot of people simply don't know, so they can't be held accountable for their actions. By exposing people to the real world, we take away their excuses and they have to make a conscious choice to be on the side of the oppressed or the oppressor. Educate to liberate. Now, Myra's International Ministry of Prison responds back. Our principal task in preparation for socialist revolution in the United States is to build public opinion and independent institutions of the oppressed to end imperialism. Under Lock and Key is an independent institution that builds public opinion, primarily among the imprisoned lumpen. USW provides more content for Under Lock Key than any other group, and we would encourage comrades to take up this call to begin a real campaign to expand distribution everywhere that USW is active. We want to echo this comrade's call for financial support as we just completed discussions of how or better ensure that our distribution methods are effective and resources are not wasted. Has no paid staff, and we work with a very small budget with no funding from outside institutions. Therefore, a donation sent goes a long way. While prisoners are often indigent, oppressed nations in the United States benefit materially due to imperialism. They get the crumbs from the king's table. So we wouldn't say that the only thing holding many people back from joining the anti-imperialist movement is their ignorance, as this comrade does. However, he or she is correct to say that exposing people to revolutionary ideas will enable and force them to consciously choose what side to be on. So push the revolutionary movement forward and help expand the distribution of the Under Lock and Key. Peace. Assalamu alaikum. Power to the people. Pa'lante, siempre pa'lante. One Lord, one people. Stay noble. This is the Under Lock Key Show. My name is Malik Alim, chairman of the Noble Young Lords Party. Power to the people. Peace.